Hey guys, this is Alex Diedemeyer from the Christian Metal Pastor 777. I hope you all are doing okay today. And in this video, I will be talking about intelligence and omniscience. Okay, so what is the purpose of this video exactly? Well, first, let me start off with intelligence. Okay, so what do you think of when you think of the word intelligence? Do you think about, how smart someone is or their IQ tests that you take? Okay, well, let me start out with this. Okay, so last semester, I took Psychology 110 over at BCTC, and one of the questions that like my professor asked when we were in the class was, would you rather be a idiot or a moron? So take some time to pause and think of a good answer before we continue. Well, so what did you all think of? Would you rather be an idiot or a moron? Well, surprisingly, a lot of people said idiot, but apparently morons are higher functioning than idiots are. So it's surprising that, a lot of us don't know that, but most psychology majors or minors would, because they actually studied that morons are higher functioning than idiots. Well, it really doesn't matter how smart you are in these cases. And, you also think about, the larger your brain is, the more smart you are. Well, that is a very common misconception about, the human mind, because it's a lot more complex about that, despite of the size. Okay, so and it really doesn't matter how smart you are, just like I said again, because there's only one person out here that is extremely smart and knows everything, and that person is God. Now, if you recalled in the last video that I made on YouTube that talks about understanding who God is, I mentioned that God was omniscient. Okay, so what does omniscient mean? Okay, so the prefix omni means all or everything, and then niscient has to do with the process of knowing. So therefore, this translates to God is all knowing, and that means that he knows everything from the past, present, future. And nothing that you will ever say or do would ever surprise God, because he knows what paths you're going to take and he knows what happens in this world. And, he just sits back and watches because of free will. And we all need to have choices on how we need to live our lives. Okay, so there is some Old Testament evidence and some New Testament evidence I want to touch on to talk about how God is omniscient. Okay, the first piece of evidence I have to prove that is Psalm 139, 1:4, which is probably one of my favorite chapters of the Bible I've been reading so far. And I read this yesterday, actually. So these are the first four verses of Psalm 139. Okay, so it says this: O Lord, you have searched me, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word on my tongue is on my tongue, you know it completely, O Lord. Okay, so what does that Bible verse say? It basically says that you don't even have to say anything, or even if you don't have the words to speak, God can instantly read your prayer through your thoughts. I mean, isn't that amazing? That just gives you complete evidence that God is absolutely telepathic. He can read your thoughts. He can read every single person's thoughts in this world. And there's another piece of Old Testament evidence I like to touch upon, and it's Isaiah 46, 9:10, which says, Remember the former things, those of long ago. I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is none like me. I make known from the end to the beginning, from ancient times, when still is to come. I say, my purpose will stand, and I will do all that I please. That just basically describes not only is God omniscient, but he sees everything. He knows exactly what he's doing, and there's nothing that you could ever do to screw his plans up. Right? Okay, so that's just Old Testament evidence. Now, there's one New Testament evidence that was pretty simple truth that I picked out, and it's First John 3:20. I learned about this Bible verse when I was doing a Bible study on First John, and It's really simple, really. So, what First John 3:20 says, whenever our hearts condemn us, for God is greater than our hearts, and He knows everything. So, yeah, not only does He say that He knows everything in this Bible verse, but trust me, we all sin and we don't even realize what we're doing that is sinful. And that's why basically God forgives us, and we don't when we don't know everything, God knows everything. And because of that, I mean, we all still yearn for a perfect relationship with Him, and we also yearn to learn more things along our way, whether it's science, mathematics, English, literature, language, you name it. But definitely, if there's something that is worth learning, definitely read your Bible, because all of us sin and we don't even realize what we're sinning. And I've committed a lot of sins in my past, and I didn't even realize what those sins were. But thankfully, it is by God's grace that I am saved, and it is by God's grace that you can be saved too. Take some time in this video and just think about how grateful you should be that God knows everything. Have a great day. God bless you all.